Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Fuller, and as Chair of the Board, I welcome you to this February 21st, 2023 regular meeting of the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners. Our office coordinator, Aaron Smith, will describe how our meetings operate, how to access the agenda packet, and how people may participate remotely. Aaron.
Thanks, Chair Fuller. There are multiple ways to make public comment during today's meeting, whether you are joining us in person or virtually. If you're here in person and would like to make public comment, please fill in the sign-in sheet now. If you're joining us virtually, we'll ask you to virtually raise your hand at the appropriate time in the agenda. If you're joining us virtually, the chat feature on the Zoom meeting is available only as technical support for users on their computer or smartphone. If you're experiencing technical issues with audio or video during the meeting, submit a comment in the chat feature and I will help you troubleshoot. If you're a staff member experiencing issues, please contact the IT help desk for assistance. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be posted to wcroads.org in the next few days. There are printed copies of today's meeting agenda on the table here, and it is also posted on our website, and there's a link available in the chat if you're joining us virtually. And now I'll turn it over to Chair Barb Fuller.
Thanks, Aaron. I now call this February 21st, 2023 regular meeting to order and ask Aaron to call the roll.
Chair Barb Fuller.
Present.
Vice Chair Rod Green.
Here.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Here.
And Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Present.
Thank you.
The following directors are in attendance: Managing Director Cheryl Siddle, Director of Engineering and County Highway Engineer Matt Washtenaw, Director of Operations Adam Lape, and Director of Finance and IT Dan Ackerman.
Thanks, Aaron. If you would join me, please, in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag,
United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So move. Support.
Any amendments, changes, deletions, comments? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Here.
Commissioner
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes, the agenda is approved unanimously as presented. We have one set of minutes today for consideration. May I have a motion to accept the board meeting minutes of February 7th, 2023 as presented, appearing on pages 3 through 28 of the packet?
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Any changes, corrections, additions, deletions? Aaron, if you'd please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is public comment. This is the time set aside on the agenda to receive comments from the public. It is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board. Aaron will explain how people may be recognized to offer comments. Aaron.
Since this is a hybrid meeting with both in-person and virtual attendees, we will take turns between those attending in person and virtually. For virtual attendees, we ask that you virtually raise your hand now. If you're viewing the meeting on your computer, first make sure to click Join Audio. You can then raise your hand by clicking the Participants or Reactions button at the bottom of your screen and then the Raise Hand button. If you dialed into the meeting from your touch-tone phone, raise your hand by dialing *9. I will unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time. I will announce your username or last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. Please share your name and address before beginning your comments. For those in-person attendees, we will start with those of who have signed up on the sign-in sheet as you walked in. If you didn't sign in, you're still welcome to make comment. I'll notify you when it is your turn. At this time, Chair Fuller, there is no one that would like to make public comment.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to written communications on pages 29 and 30 of the packet. Commissioners, do you have anything you want to speak to specifically? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to new business, the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, items 1 through 9, appearing on pages 31 through 60.
So move. I support.
Thank you. Anything there at all you want to point out or discuss? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes. The consent agenda has been approved as presented. There are no action items today, so we will move on to the reports. Start with any of our county commissioners. I don't see anybody. No,
At this
we have-
time,
None of our commissioners are with us today, so we'll move on to the report of the road commissioners. Commissioner Yamas, let's start with you.
Just the legislative updates that are given to us by the EDLIO, the Coney Road Association from February, March, and April. And that is it.
Okay. Commissioner McCollum.
Yes, on February 14th, I attended the Washtenaw County Parks and Rec Board meeting and welcomed the new Board of Commissioners, Yosef Rabi and Katie Scott.
That's going to be fun.
Yes, it was fun. On February 15th, I attended the chat with the Road Commission and there were no attendees. On February 16th, I attended the MCRISA Board Orientation and Refresher Training Webinar. And that's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Green.
I have no report.
Thank you. I will report, first of all, by starting that I want to compliment Aaron Smith and Tiffany Oliphant on updating the 3-ring binder that's the overview of the Washtenaw County Road Commission. Each commissioner received a copy, and I believe there will be others available for distribution in the coming days when we have Commissioner number 5 with us, and perhaps even the 2 county commissioners would welcome seeing that document. But it was beautifully done. Thank you. The last one we had was this thick, and you've condensed it and organized it, and it's nice and lean. So nice job. On February 8th, I attended the Southwest Washtenaw Council of Governments meeting at the Manchester High School in their media center. At that meeting, I gave out copies of the ARPA Culvert Program application seminar that was going to be convened, and I emphasized that it was a competitive program for a prescribed amount of money in a total pool, and that it was under the aegis of the Water Resources Commissioner, not the Washtenaw County Road Commission. I also noted that the dust control costs were going to be absorbed by the Washtenaw County Road Commission this year, and that those funds would be rolled into the dollars that the townships would have to allocate and match. I also noted that our managing director and director of operations, Cheryl Siddle and Adam Lape, will be presenting to the supervisors meeting on March 23rd. On February 15th, I attended the Watts meeting, the Washtenaw Area Transportation Study at 200 North Main. Please note that there will not be a March meeting. I am now the Washtenaw County Road Commission's member on the policy committee, being Commissioner Douglas Fuller's successor. Also on February 15th, I attended the Sharon Township Planning Commission's public hearing regarding Stoneco's application for a special land use permit to mine 400 acres on Pleasant Lake Road west of M52. It was very well attended, very well structured, and moderated by the chair of the Township Planning Commission, currently Pat Kelly. On March 2nd, there will be, this is a special note of information, on March 2nd, MDOT is convening a public comment session on the Reimagine Washtenaw proposal for Washtenaw Avenue, beginning US 23 and proceeding east to the water tower near EMU's campus. 2 sessions on that day of March 2nd, noon to 2 and 6 to 8 p.m. being convened at the Washtenaw County Learning and Resource Center on Hogback Road. And that concludes my report. With that, let's move on to the report of the managing director, her staff, and any updates that you might have to share with us.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Fuller. Just building on a couple of the things that you already touched upon. Obviously, staff, specifically Aaron Smith and Tiffany Oliphant, have been working on the overview document. We did provide copies to all of you. I also did reach out to I say 3 new county commissioners, knowing that Commissioner Robbie actually is been re-elected, but reached out to all 3 of them, offering to sit down and go through the functions of the road commission and hope to distribute the overview document as part of that, discussion, as well as onboarding Commissioner number 5 whenever he or she may be appointed by the county board. But we do think it's a good document explaining what it is that we do. It's also nice to go through that periodically ourselves as staff and sort of remind ourselves and update and refresh the information as well. So that obviously took a fair amount of time. We also did attend a meeting that was put on a webinar by the Water Resources Office with respect to the ARPA funds that are specifically allocated towards local culverts. So we will be sharing that information. There were definitely some township officials that were on that webinar, so it was nice to see.
Do you remember who, Cheryl, by any chance?
Oh, boy.
Or are you afraid you'll forget one and
Oh, I know I'll forget
and at least
a couple, but for sure, Freedom Township was on there. Manchester Township was on there.
Okay.
Trying to think who else was on there. It looked like it was well attended, maybe 20-ish people on that,
wow.
on the webinar, which was nice. So we'll certainly continue to share that information and to also share what our role in it would be, because partnerships are highly encouraged, if not required, for those funds. And if they're looking at a local road culvert, which would be a nice opportunity for some funding, since all of us struggle with local road culvert replacements, then obviously we would be a natural partner for those projects.
Also want to chime in on that point. When I attended the Southwest Washtenaw meeting, I made it clear that if we could be of assistance in preparing any of those proposals, that if they would just ask, we'd be happy to do that. We won't butt in, but if they want some help or some guidance, we'd be pleased to offer that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've been doing that. And I know that Adam Lape will also be mentioning it in a moment, but we have been working on the 2023 local road township packets that we'll send out, similar again to the ones from last year. That is an all staff effort. It's amazing how much information we have in those these days and where that various information is housed, whether it's Alan Squire pulling the GIS information and the Pazer information, Nate Murphy and the bridge information, Tiffany Labestahl also has a huge role in putting all of that information together. So hopefully we will get those out shortly. But in the meantime, actually, Adam and I are meeting with Webster Township tonight to talk about the local road program specifically for Webster Township, and hopefully a little bit of a broader picture and an longer term asset management plan for the township, or at least starting that discussion with them. So we're pleased to be having that meeting tonight.
Do they have a local road millage?
They do not.
They do not. Okay.
So this may be an opportunity to suggest that that may be a way to fund an asset management program.
Okay.
And then last but not least, I did share with you that last Tuesday, we did receive final site plan approval for the salt storage facility out back from Scioto Township. So we were incredibly pleased to have received that, and we are already out to bid for the salt barn. So we eagerly await those bids, but that was a big hurdle to have cleared, and we were very pleased to have gotten that. We did say thank you to the township for that.
Is there a deadline on when those bids can come in?
The bid, 22nd of March.
March
Yes.
22nd? Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
what's the anticipated date what's the earliest date that you might see groundbreaking on that
We're expecting late April, early May for construction to actually start
of this year?
of this year. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
In a perfect world, we'll have it loaded with salt for next winter. So that would mean this fall we'd be loading it. That, of course, quickly, knock on wood, but in a perfect world, that is what we're hoping for.
I'm sorry, I didn't see.
No, that's fine.
Any other questions for me?
I don't see any.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm happy at this point to turn it over to Adam Lape, Director of Operations.
Good afternoon, Adam Lape, Director of Operations. Yeah, just follow up really quick with the local road program that Cheryl just mentioned. Packets are being built as we speak. We'll start distributing some of those maybe even this evening and then a few days upcoming. I'll follow up after that with our operation specific local road proposal projects for the year. I've talked to the majority of the townships, between the foremen, superintendents, they've estimated everything and most of the townships are ready for that. So we'll release that to them and give them the opportunity to debate internally on it and allocate funds and get going as soon as we can this season. And the operations crews are actively conducting preparatory work for the 2023 HMA program, both millage countywide program. The favorable winter season has been very helpful for us. So we keep moving when it's not snowing. We're able to get some of these jobs prepared, mostly drainage and forestry work that's needed. So get ahead of the game a little bit for the summertime. And that is it. Cheryl mentioned the salt structure being out to bid. So thank you for your support and we'll provide updates as we move forward.
What's the plan for tonight and tomorrow and
Very, very
Not
long
Friday.
hours. Yes, very, very long hours. I was just talking to Ken and Jared about that. We'll likely have to work through the evening tomorrow with the way that the temperature is going to be and precipitation being between like 90 and 100% guaranteed. It's just cold enough and just enough moisture that we're going to have to be here to treat the roads. Probably get an opportunity to exercise our new comp time in our contract on Thursday when
Yeah.
everybody's good and tired and we'll keep a half staff. But if people are willing to take that, get home, get some rest, because once we get through it into Thursday morning by lunch, we should be clean and manageable. Temperatures are going to come up. So we'll make it there, but it's going to be long hours, unfortunately. Not too much accumulation at this point, so that's a good thing. And with the wind, it should help keep some of the water away from us. But we may be following trees with 30-mile-an-hour winds. So could keep us busy, but we're hopeful the wind will help us this time. So long hours, but I'll open up any questions if anybody had any questions.
tell them to be
specific.
safe?
Yes, that is the start. All right,
Thank you, Adam.
thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Matt McDonnell, our Director of Engineering.
Good afternoon, board members. Matt McDonnell, Director of Engineering. Happy to report a couple of favorable bid openings for last week. We had the Bemis at Whitaker roundabout locally bid project funded via MTF and millage. And we have Miller Brothers as the low bidder and in accordance with our budget. So that's a good news.
This was Bemis and what again, Matt?
Bemis at Whitaker.
Whitaker.
Single lane roundabout right in the border between Ypsilanti and Augusta Township. So it came in within budget that we had for roughly 1.2 million. So you'll be seeing that at a subsequent board meeting for a contract award. We also are wrapping up right away. We have one property acquisition where we're working with that property owner. It may end up where we will need board action as well to start condemnation. So we'll see where that goes, but all good news on the contractor. Miller Brothers, if you recall, we've worked with them the last phase of Zeeb Road. They were the contractor that helped us get that last segment of Zeeb Road paved. So that was a very good experience. So we're happy to be working with them again. Also, we had a locally bid project for Parker Road. The structure, it's a culvert just south of Dexter Chelsea Road. So that's an important primary road. If you recall, that one has been degrading from a structural standpoint. The bridge posting has been lowered every inspection we've had the last few. So it was critical to get that plan for replacement. That's going to go back as a culvert project, and we are getting a contractor. And the low bid was within budget, but it is a new contract to us, Wanzi Tree Service. So we're checking on references. They are MDOT pre-qualified, so they are qualified to do the work. It's just someone that we haven't worked with. The pipe supplier contact will also be helping us with assembly of the culvert. So that's always good that they'll be our partner with that contractor. So we're very familiar with Contact and their ability to help supply the pipe for the project. So those are two important projects that were locally bid. We also have in the next MDOT bid letting in March, we have the Carpenter Road paving project. It's a resurfacing, the Michigan Avenue reconstruction project, and then the Whitmore Lake Road resurfacing project. So we'll be anxious to see what those bid results are, and I'll report on that next board meeting. Also, I'll report that last night I attended a Ann Arbor Township meeting for Duvarn and Duvarn Court SAD, Special Assessment District. You know how much those can bring out the residents and for some healthy discussion on road improvements. This is going to be a special assessment district administered by the township. So the plan is that they will administer the special assessment district. We will enter into an agreement with the township to perform the work under our county-wide contract. So that to me is the best of both worlds. They take advantage of a very good contractor and good unit prices for the work that they're looking for us to perform to reconstruct those local subdivision roadways. So. Yes.
Go ahead,
So
Commissioner Yamas.
the township is in charge of the project, is that what you said?
They are administering the SAD.
Oh, they are. So
Yes,
that
so
will
we
not
would,
become-
we would administer the construction project through an agreement with much like our local road program.
Okay, so,
And the funding would be funded by the special assessment district.
so the citizens that usually show up here will be showing up at the township?
Yes, they were all there last night.
Okay. Thank you.
Problem. So
Commissioner Green?
Yes, ma'am. Are there other situations in which we administer that?
yes, so
SAD.
there are two public acts. Public Act 188 is administered by the township. It's a SAD process for specifically the township to administer. And then Public Act 246 is what this board is familiar with. That's the one where we would be administering it. They're very similar in structure, just who would be the person running the special assessment district. And then ultimately it's a partnership because this one involves a road project.
So is that more advantageous when the township does it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Public Act 246, which is the one that's run by the Road Commission and the one that York Timber Ridge is that we are most familiar with, the most recent one before this board, is a very prescribed process. So dwellings have to be so many feet apart, not more than, type thing. It's really meant for a subdivision. Public Act 188, which is the township administered special assessment district, is much broader. Not only does it include roads, it does include other utilities. They could do storm sewer, they could do water main, they could do sanitary sewer, lighting. There's a variety of public infrastructure that they could put in under Public Act 188. It doesn't have to just be roads. The township also has greater leeway on how they draw the special assessment district and how they assign how they do the cost sharing and all of those types of things. But with them administering it, all the public hearings, all of those types of things, all the steps, because it's a very, arduous process to go through. The township is the one who's going through all of that. Once they've determined they indeed do have a project and they're moving forward with it, that's when we would enter into an agreement, just like we do for any other road improvement with, in this case, Ann Arbor Township, to do that defined work.
So I'm just curious. Why don't we always let the township do it?
Well, it depends on the residents. The residents circulate the petition, and the petition that they're circulating under Act, usually it says at the top, under Act 188, we'd like to submit this to the township, or under Act 246. So it's really the residents bringing a project forward. Sometimes they bring it forward to the township, sometimes they bring it forward to us. We're obligated under the law to react to that petition. So in this case, with some guidance and advice. We work with the Ann Arbor Township Supervisor very closely, and they decided that they would like to administer this one. For instance, one of the unique portions last night, they decided to contribute 10% out of the general fund to this project. That they do something like that, so that gives them a little flexibility. They said, we want to contribute and help these residents to that amount, and that's what the board decided. So they can do things like of that nature.
There's times when there's a private road that's off of there and you want to be able to include the private road where we may not have the ability to do that. The township could draw the boundaries for the district differently to include it. That may be advantageous to everyone, but maybe not those who now got brought in, but to everyone else within the district. So those would be reasons under the 188. But if at the end of the day, it would meet the definition of a 246 and the township really didn't want to do it and told the residents the only way this is going to get done is by filling out a petition and submitting it to the road commission, as Matt indicated, we would be obligated to go through the process.
I see.
Yeah, and
Well, like the
some
department-
townships, much like Ann Arbor Township is very comfortable doing that, running that process. They've got some experience. Other townships may not have a lot of experience and maybe don't have legal
That's
counsel
true. That's
Mhm.
true.
on retainer, whereas Ann Arbor Township certainly does.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
What was the sense, Matt? Going forward, or
It's-
people are
it is
saying,
moving.
oh, my road's fine, leave
There's,
me be.
there's always, and one of the residents, put it so eloquently that, this is government, typically has an obligation to regulate, but then they have the opportunity to do projects, or on behalf of the people, and that it's a very democratic process. You're not always going to get consensus. In this case, there was not consensus, but the majority, clearly the majority of the folks wanted to move this project ahead. And that was their request, and it was voted unanimously by the township board to move it ahead. So that was exciting to hear. So I am going to draft an agreement for Ann Arbor Township's consideration that ultimately come to this board for that project. So you should see that in the next month. So they were at their hearing of objection. Their next step in their process would probably be approving our agreement and then setting the roll. So those are kind of those milestones that they're at.
So how many objections do you believe?
There was two.
Just two?
Yeah, it's a small SAD because it's a small set of roads,
Mhm.
but majority of folks were heavily in favor.
Interesting process.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And batting cleanup today is Dan Ackerman, Director of Finance and IT.
Good afternoon, Board. Dan Ackerman, Director of Finance and IT for the Road Commission. I was, as you were talking about special assessment districts and township administered versus road commission, was weighing if I should offer my 2 cents, and I will. My vote is also for township administered special assessment districts. I kind of joke with Matt and his staff, it's the gift that keeps on giving for finance. Usually it's assessments for property owners over 10 years. And that's myself and my staff that has to keep track of every parcel that's on the assessment rolls. I have to provide how much the townships need to collect and collect those funds from the townships. Every day I get calls from realtors and citizens and tax companies asking for payoff amounts or information on it. So really administratively for us, at least for finance, it's quite a heavy lift. So I'm always somewhat happy when I hear the townships are going to, when a township administers it. And of course, if it's, under 246, of course, we would administer it because we have to, but it's always appreciated if the townships do that. So I just want to share my perspective on it too.
So I have a question. So if it's a 188, that means that the township would answer those questions?
Correct. And they will be assessing the residents and responsible for collecting the funds and
And you tell them how much the township owes you. You don't talk to individual property owners then? We don't invoice them, the township does?
For 188.
Yeah.
We're out of it completely.
Got it. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
we're out of the picture. We don't need to worry about collecting things,
Mm,
anything. Yeah,
Mm.
so,
mhm.
so definitely the 10 years after the project is done, you know, we're not involved anymore.
Interesting.
At least I don't think. Is there any involvement we would have? No.
Bless you.
So anyway, just wanted to share my perspective on it too.
Yeah.
I think we have about, what, 5 currently that are still around?
There were 6.
Yeah, about 5 or 6 that we're still administering, and these are going back, you know, almost 10 years now. So we're obligated to do that. When residents, they can pay them off at any time. That's part of Act 246. So obviously we keep track of all that. And when they do pay them off, we have to call in bonds early. It's quite a process. So anyway, I just wanted to share my 2 cents on that as well. Yeah. My report, we are getting close to the finish line for our 2022 year-end audit, which is awesome. And once a draft report's ready, we'll provide that to Washtenaw County, hopefully within a week or so. Our longstanding obligation to them or agreement is by March 1st. As a component unit of Washtenaw County, they need our numbers in order to complete their CAFR, their Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, or CAFR. And so that's been a longstanding agreement we've had with Washtenaw County. And again, reminding the board, this is probably one of the first audits in the entire state. So it's very quick, but we will definitely be there. So, which is great. So it's kind of nice. We're starting to talk about 2023. I had a great meeting with staff this morning about where things stand at the end of 2022 and potential adjustments for 2023. I think there's going to be a lot, mostly positive adjustments as far as being able to add more projects and things back to the budget, which is great. So we just wanted to have an early meeting on that just to kind of get a game plan in place and you know, just kind of start that conversation, which is awesome. I'm also still working on the 2022 Affordable Care Act forms. Those are the forms that basically show that you received health insurance from the Road Commission. And it's literally checking a box on your tax forms as you complete them. It's a quite involved report. And we're trying to get to the finish line with that. We're required to get those in the mail to our employees by March 2nd. And I thought we were done, but apparently there's a few more questions on it, but we should be done hopefully today. And then we can get those in the mail to all of our employees and early retirees as well. Also started working on our 2022 OPEB report. That's other post-employment benefits. We are required by law to have a comprehensive report every 2 years. And 2022 is the next, so it'll be as of December 31st, 2022. That is something we will share with the board once it's completed. And hopefully we've made some good progress, which we've been making progress on our unfunded liability there. But we will definitely share it with the board, and, you know, you can ask questions. We'll probably show some history of funding levels and, you know, what our liabilities are and so on. So it's you know, a lot goes into this report. Mortality rates, census data. It's a very comprehensive report, and takes quite some time for us to prepare and then for the report to be generated. But you can look for that probably late spring or summertime. And like I said, we will definitely share that with the board at that time. With regards to IT, Josh is about 94% complete with all his 2022 CMAQ refreshes, so about done. And we're about ready to order the 2023 PC refreshes, so there'll be more of those for him. Chris has been leading some training demos for our departments for room 200 with all the equipment there. So, you know, anything from how to turn it on properly, how to turn it off properly, and just a good opportunity for staff to ask questions on how to best utilize the great technology that we have in there.
So is that the one that was on hold because?
That's room 106.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's room 106. And we've been told by the vendor that everything is ready now. So we're hopefully going to be planning a site visit. I believe we said in March on that, but you know, we want to make sure that everything works properly at the vendor's location, so then they can just come in and install it and it should work. So stay tuned on that. IT staff has also been working a great deal with Precision, who handles our financial software. We had an upgrade and there's some troubleshooting we're doing for our users. So a lot of time and effort has been spent trying to get to the bottom if things are not working properly or whatever changes they want to see. So there's been lots of discussion as far as that. So that'll be ongoing, hopefully not too much longer, but definitely working hard to make sure everything is working properly. And our cell phones are starting to come in, and we talked about a game plan as far as how to roll those out, which will be exciting. So, and that's all I have.
Madam
Commissioner
Chair.
Green.
Just wondering, with the Affordable Care Act, does the federal government assist in the cost of,
Do they help with the cost to like prepare
of the
everything?
insurance?
No. No, like a subsidy or anything.
Right,
Yeah.
I just wondering. What
No,
involvement the federal government?
I know
has.
a big part of it is, you know, basically everybody, they want everybody to have health insurance,
Right.
right? And I know they have the marketplace for, let's say you're not employed or your employer doesn't provide you health insurance. So I know they provide the marketplace for people to get affordable health care that way. But as far as employers, not that I'm aware of that there's any federal subsidies or anything that we can take benefit of.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
The only other thing that I have is just a reminder that I will be on vacation starting Thursday. And that will be through March 4th. And then we'll be back in the office on Monday, March 6th. So if you have any questions for me in the interim, actually, if you want to contact Erin, she can sort of direct traffic from there, depending on the nature of the call or the concern. Put you in either Adam, Matt, or Dan's hands, depending on what the question might be.
Every time you go away, we have a storm.
Yeah, I know that I have also had the same thought. Adam assures me he can get me to the border at least.
All right, all right.
I'm not going to stop going on vacation.
No. Yes, you two need to talk so that you know when to get the crews ready to be on also. Have a good time.
Thank you. I intend to. It's just a matter of getting out of here. So, and that's it for staff.
Okay, all right. I would ask that we note on March 7th, we have a 1 o'clock board meeting. Virtual chat sessions every Wednesday from noon to 1. Tomorrow is Commissioner Green and March 1st is Commissioner Yamas. Having no further business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Support. So move.
Support.
You're doing it all, Joanne. I think we got 1 and 2 here.
Support.
All right. Erin, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Rod Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
And Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.